right now, customers are worried, our customers, the businesses are worried about their own customer base. What is the new economy going to look like going forward? There's been absolutely dramatic changes to the way people buy goods and services. I think I'm right in saying that the online grocery took 10 years to get to the online sales levels that they were pre-COVID, which was about 9% of their sales. And since COVID-19, they've gone up to 20%. So the economy in the world is changing. I think there's been an enormous push for globalization over the last decade to 20 years plus. And what's interesting with the event of COVID-19, people are looking at much shorter supply chains now. And I think that may lead to a veer away from globalization and into a more local economy. A car manufacturer has been doing that trade for years and years and years, and they've developed these complex supply chains. They've developed their business in their own way. It's nigh on impossible for an external entity, whether it's an insurance company or a broker or any consulting advisor, just to step in and say, you should change this or change that. They can give some broad parameters of saying, yes, you just should reduce your dependence on key suppliers. But in reality, there's very little that a third party external entity can do to change that. What insurers can do is to provide insurance policies that actually de-risk the business and help customers through the period of time when those protections they put into their own supply chains fail. And that's really where insurers should be focusing in the future, getting away from the historic physical damage, fire, quake, wind exposures, and trying to provide more insurance policies related to the new future of non-damage BI, reputation harm, brand damage, intangibles, intellectual property, and so on. So I think that's really where the insurance world should focus in the future. If you look at the very big corporate entities with very heavy risk management practices, they almost take the view that they have addressed the issue of fire. Things like fire, which everyone used to worry about in the insurance industry, they almost view fire as a dealt with risk. The areas they really need to think about are the non-damage BI areas, the lack of attraction, and as I said, the brand damage to that particular heavily branded business. The first point to say, and as speaking as a broker myself, I would always say the old broker adage is if you can't place it, endorse it. So try and expand your existing cover as much as you possibly can. Most policies will have an element of a contingent BI in them. So trying to add in non-damage BI to an existing policy having had a period of reconstruction in the past, it's now really trying to look outwards and trying to develop its offering to its customer base to be much more attuned to the current day exposures. So a lot of effort's gone into the Lloyd's Innovation Lab, and a lot of effort's gone into the Product Innovation Facility. And in particular, that's leading the charge in terms of trying to offer insurance for intangible exposures. There are particular product lines available. You can buy intellectual property cover within Lloyd's and the company market. The intangible offer, we had been putting up indications prior to coronavirus for our large customer base. The broader impact of brand and reputation harm is all interlinked in this entire sort of non-damage BI exposure. So right now there is some capacity available, very limited, with very stringent or very, very strict triggers. Obviously, pure pandemic cover is incredibly hard to come by. It is pure aggregation risk, one on top of the other. It's very hard to sort of monitor and control which companies are exposed to which particular type of pandemic and which ones aren't. So there is a period of contraction relating particularly to pandemic, but there is still a level of interest and a drive to create more non-damage BI cover. And I know Lloyd's is behind it, and there are company markets. Lloyd's can't do it on its own. It needs the whole insurance market to push this along.